Night shifts aren't just about lonely hours. They're about the things that stir when the rest of the world sleeps, the unsettling experiences that crawl out from the shadows when you're the only one watching. Prepare to have your sleep ruined by these three true accounts from those who face the darkest hours head-on. Tales pried from the confidential files of the strange and inexplicable. Our first chilling file concerns Arthur, a veteran security guard who thought he'd seen it all. For over a decade, Arthur walked the silent, echoing halls of a vast, dimly lit natural history museum, a place usually bustling with life during the day, but utterly desolate after dark. He knew every creak of the old building, every shadow cast by the towering dinosaur skeletons, every flicker of the faulty fluorescent lights. Yet one Tuesday night, an unfamiliar unease settled over him. It started with subtle things, a faint whisper that seemed to emanate from the ancient Egyptian exhibit, a cold spot that moved with him as he patrolled, the distant clang of metal on stone that no pipe system could explain. Arthur, a man of logic, dismissed them as fatigue. But then, as he reached the third floor, where the taxidermy animal stood frozen in time, he heard it clearly. Distinct, shuffling footsteps above him, directly from the curator's private office. He called out, his voice swallowed by the cavernous space. Silence. He ascended the stairs, flashlight beam cutting through the gloom, pushing open the office door to find nothing but undisturbed dust and moonlight. As he turned to leave, a small porcelain doll, part of an untouched Victorian-era display case near the office, slowly toppled over, landing face down with a soft, unnerving thud. Arthur didn't walk away from that shift. He ran and never set foot in that museum again. What inexplicable force would deliberately make its presence known, not with a bang, but with a whisper and a gentle, deliberate push? Our next report takes us into the sterile yet surprisingly terrifying world of a hospital's forgotten wing. Sarah was a new nurse, assigned to the graveyard shift on an old, mostly empty floor, a place used only for overflow patients, its history whispered about amongst the senior staff. Most nights were quiet, filled only with the rhythmic hum of life support machines from below and the distant cries from the maternity ward. But on Sarah's third week, the quiet became menacing. Call bells started ringing from vacant rooms, not once, but repeatedly, always from different rooms, always just as she'd settled down. She'd rush in, find the room empty, the call light extinguished, only for another to immediately chime down the hall. Then came the whispers, soft and persistent, seemingly emanating from the rarely used patient lounge, a room filled with dusty, unused wheelchairs. When she investigated, the chairs would be arranged in a semicircle, facing the blank television screen, as if an invisible audience had just dispersed. One particularly dreadful night, she returned to the nurse's station to find her small, personal photo of her grandmother, which she kept tucked under her keyboard, now placed carefully atop a stack of blank patient charts, facing her, almost as if it had been waiting. Sarah swore the air grew heavy, like an unseen presence had just moved through the room. The rational explanations withered away under the crushing weight of such intimate, deliberate acts. Is there a point where the mind simply cannot deny what the senses are screaming, even if it defies all logic? Our final dispatch details the unnerving routine of Mark, a young man working the graveyard shift at an isolated gas station, literally at a crossroads where two desolate highways met. Most nights were monotonous, marked only by the occasional long-haul trucker or a lost traveler. But for 3 consecutive weeks, at precisely 3:17, a figure would appear. It was always the same. A tall, gaunt man in an outdated, dark trench coat, his face obscured by the shadow of a wide-brimmed hat. He'd walk to the pump furthest from the station, stand there for precisely 5 minutes, his back to the building, then turn and walk away, never buying gas, never making eye contact. Mark tried to dismiss it as a strange local, but the precision, the lack of interaction, began to wear on him. Then, on the 4th week, The routine changed. At 3:17 a.m., the figure appeared as usual. This time, however, after his 5 minutes by the pump, he didn't walk away. Instead, he slowly approached the glass doors of the station. Mark felt a primal dread as the man's shadowed face peered in, his head tilted slightly, an unnerving stillness to his posture. Mark froze. The figure then pushed open the door, stepping inside. Mark could feel a wave of intense cold wash over him, saw the man's shadow stretch long across the fluorescent-lit floor. He watched him take 3 slow steps into the store. Then, without warning, the figure simply vanished. One moment he was there, a dark, imposing silhouette. The next, he was gone, the automatic door still slightly ajar, the cold lingering in the air like a phantom breath. The security camera footage, reviewed countless times by Mark and his shaken manager, showed the man entering, taking those 3 steps, and then, mid-stride, simply disappearing from the frame. These aren't ghost stories told around a campfire. These are the deeply unsettling, first-hand accounts from people whose livelihoods put them face to face with the true darkness of the world, or perhaps what lies just beyond its veil. The next time you find yourself awake in the dead of night, remember these stories and wonder what other unseen horrors might be lurking just out of sight, waiting for the world to fall silent.